another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. Today, we're going to dive into the world of two categories: artist, fighter, MMA fighter, trainer, and more importantly, reinventing. Today on the show, we have a young man who's definitely has started the journey of reinventing himself, even from changing his name to match his future endeavors. Let me tell you a little bit about him and let him tell the whole story. On the show, we always like to showcase that beast mindset. This is truly a beast mindset with this story. How you just wake up, go off of the norm, which is the norm is to go to school, get a degree, and hopefully fit in to society. Not this young man. It ain't happening. I'd like to welcome to the show to tell his own story, Jarell Davenport, new name, Real. Did I get that last name right?
Really.
Tell the viewers a little bit about Rally, the new name. And before we even get there, let's talk about where you grew up, a little bit about you before we get into the name and the whole reinventing.
Okay. Well, I'm from the east side of Indianapolis. I grew up off of 38th and College, if you're familiar with the area. Grew up not far from where Mike Epps grew up. Went to Harshman Middle School, Arsenal Tech High School. East side Indianapolis kid.
Did
man.
you know Mike? Did you know Mike Epps?
Not at all. Not at all. He was a few years before me, but like I went to the same middle school and high school as him. So like I had a lot of the same teachers, and of course they would never stop talking about having him in class. But yeah, it's just it's a life.
How was life for you? Because I know a little bit about the East Side, especially the 42nd Street area and stuff. I mean, that was,
yeah.
You had to be tough.
Yeah. I mean, I had a tough upbringing. Wasn't the best, wasn't the worst. My parents, well, my mother's a musician. My father was a pastor, so I grew up PK. But I always set my own path. I always, had a street mentality coming up, but at the same time, I wasn't no fool either. You know what I mean? So
I guess you would have to have a street mentality to some degree, even though your father was a pastor. You still had to deal with everyday.
Yeah,
life.
My dad wasn't a regular type pastor either, so it was.
We won't get into that one.
But yeah, I mean, and he raised me and my brother to be tough, and we did, and we were very tough kids. Got in a lot of fights and stuff like that, but also never played in school either. So it was like I straddled the fence a lot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But definitely had a tough outer shell because of where I came from, and the East Side. They're gonna test you if they smell weakness.
You don't know, you don't know, you're gonna know.
Yeah, for sure.
You wind up, evidently you was good academically because you wind up going to Purdue, and Purdue is noted as one of the top 2 engineering schools.
Yeah.
What made you go to Purdue, and what were you going to Purdue for?
I think I got lucky, honestly. There was a program that came out my 7th grade year called Science Bound, where it was a new initiative where the president of Purdue at the time was a part of it. It basically had created a program for inner city kids to make a path to go to Purdue or whatever, as long as you kept a certain GPA, you did the right things, attended their programs, and was an all-around good kid in school. I got into that program because I was late for wrestling practice that day. Literally, I promise you, because the first meeting about it was with my 7th grade science teacher after school. And I forgot something in my language arts teacher's class, so I ran back to get it before wrestling practice. And as I'm running down the hallway, my science teacher was like, "Oh my God, Jarell, I'm glad I saw you. Come here. Let me talk to you."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "I'm about to be late." She's like, "It's only gonna take a second, just real quick." And walked in, and she told me about the program. And they laid out what I needed to do. I had to keep my grades up from 7th grade all the way through my senior year.
Why do you think she signaled you out? What attributes did you have that your teacher? I used to be a school teacher too. That she felt.
I think because I was one of those kids that straddled the fence. I was always an athlete, and I was never bad in school, but I was never a goody two-shoes either. I was on the fence, and I feel like she saw in me an opportunity to create an option for a better life.
Mm-hmm.
And so, being that I was one of her favorite students in class, even though I, still made my own mistakes from time to time, I feel like she saw that potential in me and just gave me the opportunity. And it was up to me to, because a lot of people didn't make it all the way through senior year.
Mm-hmm.
But it was up to me to keep up the standard to make sure that I had the opportunity.
How difficult was it for you to keep up the standards when you just said you made a few mistakes?
Honestly, it wasn't that hard because school never came hard for me. Like,
you were just gifted.
I mean, I
Don't
guess
be
we could
shy
say
now.
that. I guess we could. I wasn't never a fool, and my parents didn't play that. Like, make your mistakes and all that. Don't get caught, and and we ain't playing no bad grades or none of that shit. Ain't none. And they were. And they wasn't going for that. So I knew that. So it was like the standard that my parents set versus the standard science bound said. Science bound was easy. I was like, well.
So you really like science?
I really do.
What
I'm
do you
really
like
a
about
nerd
it?
at heart, to be 100. Like,
you're a nerd.
Yeah, I'm really a nerd for real.
This is gonna be crazy. It get deeper. What's some of the stuff you like about science? I like science too, but what are some of the captivating things?
Discovering new things. Just anything that's interesting that I didn't know before. It ain't even necessarily just science. I have a natural thirst for knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's something, I love history. I love finding out stuff I didn't know before. And the beauty of science is that the entire concept of it is finding out things you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I don't think that would ever get old.
It don't ever get old.
It never gets old.
So you wind up going to the campus of Purdue. What was that like for you?
Culture shock. Oh, my God.
Please explain.
It was culture shock. I'm from the inner city.
Yeah.
Went to IPS my entire life. I'm used to us.
Now you in
Now I'm
Lafayette.
in West Lafayette, Indiana, and I've never seen that many white people in my life, ever. Or that many Asians, ever.
In my life.
In my entire life. I didn't know that this world existed. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then now I'm here by myself. I've got a few friends that came up from the same program, and then just a few friends from high school.
Did you live on campus?
Yeah.
Evidently you lived on campus, right?
I lived on campus for a couple of years and then got our own apartment. And we got crazy. But, well, even on campus was crazy. But it was a complete culture shock. And then it was like, because of the way high school went for me versus now I'm at a campus and I'm the little guy on campus once again, it was a culture shock, and it was just a shock in general because the way high school went for me, I didn't have to do anything. Like, I didn't have to apply myself at all.
Now you have to apply and be accountable.
And you're nobody at the same time. It's like I'm top dog at, like, I cannot overstate how much top dog level I was in high school. And now I'm nobody at all, and I have to apply myself. I have nobody to help me, and I'm broke as hell. Like, what do you mean? And on top of that, the thing that, of course, there was all types of things that Science Bound taught us, and all props to them for everything that they prepared us for academically. But nobody prepared me for the lifestyle of what college was about to be like. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that got me in a lot of trouble.
What do you mean it got you in a lot of trouble?
Well, you go from I'm under my parents' rule, I have to be in at a certain time, I can't do this, I can't do that, to there's a party on Tuesday.
And you're going.
And there's one on Wednesday.
And you're going.
And Thursday and Friday and Saturday and Sunday. And I'm definitely going. And I can come in whenever I want to. There are all these girls and they live right there. What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm about to
Sodom and Gomorrah for real.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. And the messed up part is Purdue is pretty boring. So there's nothing else to do. So it's literally, if there's a party, everybody going. We all going because there ain't nothing else to do. So, and then it didn't help that my brother, who's 2 years older than me, went to IU, which is the party school. So I'm literally,
You're driving to Bloomington, too.
All the time. All the time. And he was a Sigma, and they ran the yard. It was wild.
You decided to take another journey. You leave Purdue. What was the reason that you wanted to leave?
It just became too much. I had too much going on. I was making a few too many of those mistakes, and landed myself on the other side of Johnny Law a couple times, and it just became like, okay, what am I doing here? I've been at this school. I keep messing up. I keep having to start over and restart over and over and over again.
Repeating the same mistakes over and over again.
Repeating the same mistakes, and I'm like, what am I doing this for? Is there a job that I really want to do? And I kept coming up with no. I don't want to do any of these things. Like, I'm doing it to go through the motions, but if I'm being 100 with myself, I don't want to do none of this.
What did you bounce this stuff off of? Did you said you was cool with your brother? Your father's a pastor. Your mom's a musician. Did you share with anybody what you was going through before you decided to make this transition to just say, I'm done with school?
No, not really. I never consulted anybody about that decision because I knew what the standard answer was going to be.
You were going to be met with resistance some kind of way.
Of course, because, and no fault to any of the people that love me, that's what they're supposed to say, because when somebody says, you've got a full-ride scholarship to this nice school, you should probably finish graduating.
That's probably what I would have said, too.
Who wouldn't? Yeah, who wouldn't? Because of only a fool will walk away from that.
Especially Purdue. Let's get real. That's top engineering school. They're Midwest finest.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe it was a bad decision, but it was a decision I had to make for myself. And it's like, at the end of the day, I'm not far from graduating. If I want to go back, I probably will take that path and do that eventually. But I'm like, for me to have my sanity and what I want to do, I have to do what I want to do and make that decision myself.
And athletes do that all the time anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
You can always go back. You may not get the scholarship now, but
of course. I may have made it harder for myself, but that's the thing about being an athlete. Sometimes I need things to be difficult. Unfortunately, that's just how I learn.
So you leave the school. How did your parents feel about it, and your brother?
My parents understand me to a degree.
You're cut from a different.
They just know that if my mind is made up, it's happening. You know what I mean? And there's no. It's partially their fault that I'm like that because my mom always told me stand for what's right, even if you stand alone. My dad always taught me to be the head, not the tail, be a leader. So I'm like, you instilled all these principles in me to do what I think is right and to go about it no matter what anybody says. Well,
no question.
No question. We jumping off this cliff. Let's go.
So you wind up leaving. What's your first order of operation?
I came back home to Indy, and it initially seemed like a absolutely terrible decision.
Because you had to move in with your parents or your brother?
Oh, no, I never refused to do that. I'd rather figure it out, and figure it out I did. Like, literally, I am king of making a way out of no way. Okay. I do it very often, so that's exactly what ended up happening.
Did they tell you to come home? Did they say you
over and over? Both of them. Both of them. Like, you can live with me. You can stay with me until you get in your family. I'm like, no, I refuse. I'd rather be homeless. Literally, I'd rather be homeless than to move back home, because for me, it's when my feet are to the fire, I'm going to figure it out, period. You will never see me go without destitute and all of that. It's not going to happen. I'm going to figure out something. And that's exactly what I did with zero plan, just because the way that I think is a little different. So it's like I'm very right brain with things. If I need something to occur, if I need something to happen, for somebody to meet the right person, I create the environment for that to happen.
So you manifested already.
All the time. I've been doing this since June 8th, 2008, and I will never look back.
So even though we can manifest and we see it, sometimes it doesn't always pan out. So you wind up leaving. What job did you wind up taking?
Man, I came back and I worked at a gas station, Topgolf, and bartending, all at the same time.
I don't see you pumping gas.
Yeah, nah, bro. It wasn't me. But
this is what I see.
Yeah.
Can I help you? Clink, clink, clink. I'm out.
Yeah, no, I did that for like a year or two.
Really?
Yeah, it was great at it. I had people that would literally come to the gas station when I'm there on purpose just because they wanted to see me, because I brighten up their day.
Well, it does feel good when you go get gas, somebody say, hey, how you doing?
and whole conversations, knew my whole life, everything. Just because I know in any situation that I'm in, I'm bigger than the situation, and I never take my eyes off the goal. So even when I am manifesting, it's never that it doesn't pan out. It always pans out. 100% of the time, it always pans out. It's just, are you willing to do what it takes to get there, no matter what it looks like?
Are you willing to follow those crumbs?
And if it's got to be crumbs, then you got to be crumbs. You know what I'm saying? But are you focused on the path to get to where it is? Because if your goal is to move this mountain, it ain't wishing that the mountain's going to move. It ain't trying to blow it up or anything like that. It's pick up your pickaxe and start chipping away. And if you can do that when it's little chips, just keep your head down, keep chipping. And then next thing you know, you're going to look up like, oh, my God, I'm halfway through this damn mountain. And then eventually you're going to turn around and be like, I'll be damned.
I can do anything.
I just moved through a mountain.
Yeah.
What else can I do?
So you wind up doing gas attendant, Top Golf, and I forgot what the third
Bartending.
one. Bartending. Mm-hmm. How was that for
you? Gas station wasn't as bad as I thought. I thought it would be the thing that I hated the most, just because of how demeaning it seems. But honestly, the people that came in there that I met, and to see that I'm, even on my worst day that I don't want to be there, I'm making somebody's day, made it worth it. You know what I'm saying? Top Golf, torture. I would not recommend anybody work there. I don't recommend anybody work there.
They look like they're always busy when I drive by there.
And bruh, that's a whole nother story. I do not in Indianapolis. No, sir.
Really?
It was ran real messed up. So yeah, now bartending, love it. I still do it.
Okay.
Now I really enjoy it. It's sometimes the money's good, sometimes it's not, but the experience itself and being able to connect with people that you otherwise wouldn't, because you're automatically the life of every party you go. Mm-hmm. Love that. And I've created some really deep connections off of just bartending. You know what I'm saying? You never know who you meeting, who you talking to.
What's that show? Cheers. Sometimes you want to go where they know your name.
Sometimes, and you'd be surprised, especially when I'm pouring you good shots.
So let's talk about the MMA. How in the heck did you evolve into MMA fighting? It's not something, and trust me, I knew about MMA fighting before it was MMA fighting.
Yeah.
Back in the day, because I was recruited to fight.
Really?
That's when they did it underground.
Oh, okay.
And they was doing underground in Louisville, Kentucky, and a guy approached me at the gym and was like, how much do you weigh? And I told him. He said, you ever thought, they didn't call it MMA fighting. They just said, do you want to fight underground? I was like, what are you talking about? And he was telling me, you fight your weight class and you make money. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't called MMA. Now I'm thinking, man, maybe I should have went and knocked somebody out.
Yeah,
underground.
Yeah.
How did you get into this?
Man. So, like I said, I left Purdue. I came back here. Life was not lifing for me at the time, so I needed a release. While I was at Purdue, one of the things I used to do to work out was boxing. So I found a gym here, finessed my way into going there for little to nothing. But I was just training myself, just basically a cathartic release. I needed to release all the tension I was having from life sucking. Then COVID happened. And and it
been there, done that.
Yeah, and it shut down the gym that I was going to. Basically, where we would have any given day. There's sometimes I'm the only person there. Sometimes there's 40 people in there. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So eventually it went to we have to check every single person, make sure you're not have a COVID test, and we can have a max of like 7 people in here. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm not going to pay a whole bunch of money to basically get nothing out of it. So I think like the weekend that I stopped going there, I was watching a UFC fight, and one of the commentators said, American Top Team has more UFC champions than any gym in the world. And I was like, that's interesting. I wonder if there's an American Top Team in Indianapolis. Mm-hmm. So I looked it up, and there is. And it was around the corner from the gym that I was going to already. So I'm like, oh, well, I already make this commute every day. Let me go in here and check it out. So, of course, I'm watching a whole bunch of UFC fights, knowing I'm about to go in here and check it out. And I walk in, and I'm like, I see the dude, the owner, and I'm like, yeah, man, I want to get in the cage fighting. What I got to do? And he kind of, like, sized me up like, Nah, man, that's not how we do things around here. You know what I'm saying? He like, well, let's talk about a membership. We'll see what you can do or whatever. Man, I went in there that first day, got me a membership, and it was on a kickboxing day. So I went in there thinking I know something. I've been throwing kicks on this bag for so long. You know what I'm saying? Never fought nobody. Man, they humbled me real quick.
What do you mean?
Man, got my ass whooped real quick, and it didn't take long at all, and I was hooked. I was
Really?
Yeah. Oh my God, that was everything I needed. I was like, oh, okay, bet. I'm not the best.
How long did it take to knock you out?
Wasn't long. It wasn't
Really?
long. Yeah, it wasn't long. And they didn't knock me out. They just beat me up real bad. You know what I mean? Like,
wow.
Like it's like I was that guy that now on the other end of the spectrum, I see why they did that because I see it happen all the time now. You always get that guy who thinks he knows some shit. He probably had some street fights and think he knows something.
What was the difference between what you knew, what you thought you knew walking in, and the confidence was definitely there, but sometimes we journey into the land of overconfidence. So you go in overconfident. What really humbled you? What did they do to make you go, wow, I need to really sit down and look at this?
They exposed the holes in my game.
And what were some of the holes?
Defense. I didn't keep my hands up. I didn't move my head.
That's what we were just talking about.
Yeah. And that's a real thing. My head stayed right on line. I'm not keeping my hands up. I'm throwing punches from down here. Like every little thing that I was doing on this bag, because you got to think a bag don't hit you back. And I had only been training on a bag for I'm talking a long time, but I never sparred anybody. And then it's like, okay, well, you find out real early that, one, your strength don't mean shit. Two, all the things that you learned on the bag, maybe 20% of that applies here because that bag don't hit you back. And that bag is an inanimate object, and it's not invested in making you tired or hurting you. You know what I'm saying? It's just going to take your punches. This person is actually trying to hit you, and the more things that they do is making you more tired than that bag ever will. So it's just like when you figure out all of these things, your ego instantly takes a back seat, and you're like, well, you have that choice. You can either be, a softy and basically be like, nah, I ain't gonna do this no more, and be one of the people resign to history as, I used to do kickboxing, I used to box. Like, nah, I'm not that type of person. I never have been. My drive is just too heavy. I'm like, well, I'm not the best in the room. I don't like that. I'm gonna stick until I am, or at least get as close as I can. And along this journey, we're gonna enjoy every step of the way and realize it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
When did your teacher, and when did you and your teacher, because it had to be a joint connection, decide you was ready to actually get in the ring, because you're 5-2 kickboxing and 2-0 with MMA, and you just started this journey April of 2023.
Well, that's just for MMA.
When did they decide you was ready?
So I had been training there. I walked into their doors June of 2020. They had a fight card that November. Yep, that November there was a fight card, and they were convinced between June and at least September, it had to be maybe August, that I was ready. So we're talking 2 to 3 months.
When you went there, did you tell them this is what you wanted to do? This was your career. So they knew how to train you, because don't get it wrong, some people wasn't in there to fight. You went in there to start a career.
Yeah, no, this is what my goal is. I said MMA, but what they told me, the rebuttal to me saying I want to get in the cage was, that's not how we do things here. In order for you to, because like he kind of like brushed it off at first, and I was like, no, I'm serious. I really want to get into MMA, and I'm like, I want to go as far as the UFC type shit. I'm sure, looking back now, I probably sounded crazy, but I was serious. And the guy told me, he was like, well, the way that we do things here, because of our reputation and because we don't want you to get hurt, you have to do at least 3 kickboxing matches and at least 3 jiu-jitsu tournaments before we even consider you.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, exactly. Because they don't want you to get hurt. Because you don't play fighting. This is serious. You know what I'm saying? And 2, they're the American top team. They're not just about to put no scrubs out there. Their reputation matters. So it's like, okay, I get that. I'm cool with that. That's going to make me better anyway. So let's start with kickboxing, which is what I did. And that's when I got my ass whooped and realized that I wasn't ready. But within 2 to 3 months, I was ready. And so my first fight was scheduled for November of 2020. And cannot make this up. On October 16th, 2020, coming off of the highway on Shadeland on my motorcycle, I got hit by a car.
What?
Yeah, bro.
On the highway?
On the highway.
You're lucky.
Oh yeah, it was bad. Like I flipped off and went flying in the air. Everything. It was like a total. I literally had to have 3 surgeries in this knee. I spent all of the rest of 2020 and all of 2021 and part of 2022 relearning how to walk.
Wow.
Yeah, before my first kickboxing match. So my first kickboxing match ended up being April of 2022.
Wow. How'd you do?
I lost it by split decision my first match.
Well, you know, I've had injuries.
Mm-hmm.
How difficult was it for you to come back and compete after such an injury? You got to think to yourself.
Immensely difficult.
Yeah, like
it was bad. It was I literally had to relearn how to walk. There was a portion of time where my foot, my whole leg from the knee down, I couldn't feel anything, and it was so bad that like the dead skin on my feet got like inches thick because my leg was dead. Like literally, wasn't shit left, and I had to relearn how to walk, go through all of this rehab. It was painful. Like I still have 3 screws in my knee. I get kicked in this leg all the time. So
when you threw that first kick,
mm-hmm.
Did you feel better?
When I first could throw it with power,
yeah, that's what I mean.
It brought tears in my eyes.
Really?
Like no cap, because it was like I had this new thing in my mind that I'm about to do this thing, and then it's like boom, that gets shattered, and now you have to spend all this time crawling back from a place you've never been before. I've never had an injury like that. I've never had to have multiple surgeries on one thing to fix it. You know what I'm saying? It was so long I couldn't bend it, I couldn't straighten it.
How supportive was your team? You went in there with a vision, and all of a sudden, this happens. And
my team has been extremely supportive. Like those people are like family. Like at ATT, that's another thing about the gym. It's not just a fight gym. Like you really do feel like you're part of a family in there. Mm-hmm. Like so that's why it was so easy to not leave, because my coaches, my teammates, they, you know, I mean, they had to do what they had to do and continue fighting and everything like that. But it was always love type shit. My strength and conditioning coach give me workouts, you know, stuff, the right nutrition to eat so that I don't get too fat. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was extremely supportive. Like, I love those guys to death for sure.
So when you get the 5-2, how does that make you feel?
Man, it's every victory is like just that much sweeter. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like I'm literally manifested this. Like every time I win, it is a not even a gentle reminder. It is like a giant reminder that I can do anything. Mm-hmm. Because I swear to God, years before this even looked like it was going to happen, I used to do my meditations in the shower every day and hold my hands up, imagining that I'm on the corner turnpike of a ring with everybody that I know shouting my name and everything, and I'm just screaming to high heaven because I just want to fight. And I had no evidence that was ever happened. I wasn't even training at the time. I just told myself this is the reality that I want to create.
Before we wrap up, you got so much stuff going on. How does the journey to MMA happen? We know you got the coach, the trainers, and so forth. Mm-hmm. Is it like me being a professional bodybuilder? They had to be things I had to win to get to that pro status. Yeah. What is it for you? You're 5-2. Are you pro, or are you on your way to pro status?
I'm on my way to pro status.
What do you have to do to get to the pro status?
It's up to you when you want to turn pro. Obviously, you should probably take a lot of fights, more difficult the better, so that you can be tried and true when you do make that decision. But I don't believe you have to have prerequisite fights. I could be wrong about that, mm-hmm. but I don't think it's literally you could just turn pro whenever you want to. But there's something, now you got to fight pro. So if I, like, let's say, for instance, I decided that I wanted to go pro in kickboxing. Now, any fight that I do of anything has to be pro. So if I decided later on, like, oh, I want to try boxing, ain't no amateur. It's straight pro. If I go to an MMA
fight, you go pro, you got to go pro in everything. So you don't go back down to the amateur, almost like bodybuilding. You don't go back down once you turn pro.
Yep.
When do you plan to turn pro? That's a good question. When do you plan to turn?
The plan was this year I was going to do a lot of fights and see how it went. I've been undefeated this year thus far. So I was thinking around this time next year just to continue this and see, keep challenging myself and get more good, tough fights and make myself push through, see how I feel about stuff like that. And then it's like by this time next year, I plan on actually being pro.
How does your family feel about the new journey, the new reinvention of you in general? Have they came to watch you fight?
Oh yeah.
Your dad's probably like, yeah.
Yeah, man. God rest his soul. That was my biggest supporter. We lost him last August.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, it was a very, very emotional thing because the last time I lost was the last fight he saw, and it was for a title, and it was not good.
What did he tell you during those last moments when you did lose? Did he pull you to the side and share with you words?
Yeah, he was always my biggest supporter in all sports. So like we've had the you lost talk before, but that one was a little deeper because this was the first time from fighting, and in the nature that I lost by TKO, so it was pretty bad. But like he really showed his support in a different way because afterwards it was like a day or two I didn't want to talk to anybody, anything. I wasn't answering the phone. My dad just pulled up to my house and just sat with me for hours. Like that was.
What was that like for you? I know what it's like to lose, but I also know what it's like to go into that dark place. Not really dark place, but that moment to where you ask yourself, this is what I did. What could I have done different? Because I realized that every other bodybuilder put in just as much preparation as I did. So I had to go back and look at tape and say, what did I do different? I talked to the judges. What do I need to do? What did you do?
I internalized it and literally did that. What did I need to do different? Because it wasn't that I wasn't working hard. Because I mean, anybody that ever trained with me will tell you I'm a workhorse. Like I will work and work and work and work and work. But it made me look at, okay, well, how did he beat me? What did he beat me with? What was the hole in my game that I need to fix? And it was boxing. And it's like, okay, well, literally from then on, I just started doing our boxing classes. I got with our boxing coach, Coach Ike, shout out to him because he is a world-class trainer. And I just, whatever he said, I did, period. And I was like, whatever comes out of his mouth, it's gold to me. And I literally haven't lost since.
What were some of the things that he told you that you needed to perfect in boxing? Because remember, you said you hit the boxing bag.
Yeah.
What was it that you wasn't doing?
Not keeping my hands up, keeping my head on line. I wasn't moving. I'm staying stationary in the pocket. Like I'm sitting there trying to bang with dudes when I don't have to. I'm not setting traps. I'm not fainting. Like it was like, Coach Ike, what am I doing wrong? And he was like, it's like, oh, I could fix you. You know what I'm saying? But it's gonna take some work, and we got straight to work. And hey, like I said, I shout out to him and the rest of my coaches too. But like. I know that was the turn of the tide. That it was like once I got with him, it was like, oh, okay, now I'm a fighter. It's like before I could say, yeah, I can fight or whatever, but I'm kind of just winging it. It's like after that, okay, now I know how to set traps. I know how to bait people in. I know how to adjust on the fly. You know what I'm saying? I don't have just one mode where it's just like, oh, we're gonna sit here and like, nah, I can be smart in a fight. It went from I'm fighting to now I'm playing chess.
Yeah. What's your two-part question before we wrap up? Are there any regrets that leaving school, doing the 3 jobs, and now going into a career that you just happen to stumble onto, more or less? Are there any regrets?
No. I wouldn't change a thing. I feel like it's developed me into who I am now, and who I am now would make the kid me proud. You know what I'm saying? Are there other paths where I could make more bread? Yeah. Do I wish I had more money? Yeah. When it's time to, I manifest it. You know what I'm saying? But to have the life of some of my peers who are, doing great in the corporate world or making a lot of money, you know what I'm saying, and all of that, but
It's not work for you anymore. It's fun.
It's fun. I get to wake up and do what I want every day.
That's
I
what
feed
it's
my
all
family
about.
off of things that I want. I control my time. That's the most important because when I want to see my son, I can see my son, and I know I won't miss nothing in his life at all because I can control my time, and nobody's telling me you have to be here at this time for this amount of time. You can eat at these hours, and to me, your hour is worth this. Nah, bro, I wouldn't change that for nothing at all.
What keeps you in that beast mindset?
Man, greatness. I have to be great because I have somebody looking at me now, and I have to be great for him. I have to let him know that he can do anything.
What's your 2 years old name? What's his name?
Jakari.
Okay.
I call him Squishy Man. That's my little dude.
How can the viewers reach out to you and support you and follow you on your journey to the pro status?
You can follow me on Instagram at Relly Smackavelli.
That's a long name.
It's a long name, but if you type in RELLYSM, I'll be the only one that pops up. So Relly Smackavelli, Smackavelli's with an I, on Instagram, Real Dav on Facebook, and Relly Smackavelli on YouTube.
We're going to have you come back later this season, and we're going to talk about your music career because that's a side people don't know about.
Yeah, definitely.
This is simply about your journey to the MMA. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Crayton Show.